This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Now it's time for Spiritual Learning with Priestess Lily.
Welcome to my radio show, Priestess Lily, Sacred Heart Healer, Space Holder, and Spiritual Life Coach. Welcome. This radio show podcast I have created to help assist humanity rise the consciousness through connection and holding space for thought-activating conversations with heart-centered leaders, wisdom keepers, divine humans expanding into their authenticity and soul purpose. Which leads me to my beautiful guest today, all the way from Ireland, Ciara McHugh. She is a healer, an holistic therapist, life coach, intuitive, shaman, spiritual mentor, and a phenomenal teacher who is a space holder for people on their healing journey and a modern day fully embodied healing priestess. Ciara is devoted to healing. She's one of the most heart-centered people that I know, and teaches and invites clients to work with them being ready to bring their whole self, their light and their shadow into the space. She is a phenomenal healer and space holder for divine energies to allow them to work through her. And her healing work embodies all that she has been working on for many years and the work that she does on herself. Welcome, gorgeous sister. Welcome. I'm so glad to have you on my radio show podcast. This interview is one that I've definitely been impatiently waiting. So welcome.
Thank you.
There has a slight delay in this podcast. So we are trying to work with the powers be upstairs, spirit and everyone to try and get us all hooked up.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So I'm going to basically, you are a phenomenal healer. And I think your work is so needed. Our work, you know, is so needed right now in the earth plane, and to help heal humanity and help people individually do their own work. What are you finding with your clients coming to you right now?
I guess there's two answers to that one question, if you really wanted to break it down quite simple, into the two. And that's one where, like how we have been called to work with spirit and to, really delve deeper into working with, the different energies that can, that are here on this earth to be with us as well. They want to heal in a way that they know is more natural, more holistic. It's in deeper connection with their soul. And then there's maybe not so much the newbies, but the people that are really deeply curious. Their curiosity has really brought them to a place now where they know that some of the answers that they have been seeking is outside of perhaps the norm or the narrative of what they've been told. So that can be from anywhere from maybe just going to your GP doctor or going to maybe different therapies that they've tried for years, or simply just not knowing how to help themselves. And there's an inner calling that can often bring them into a space like our spaces, our healing spaces, where they're like, I don't know why I'm here, but I know it's exactly where I'm meant to be. And they're, you know, and then I explain to them what's going to happen. They're like, I'm just open to it because I know that this is what I need. Because we're working with the deepest level, you know, we're working with the soul. We're working with the wounds. And really what it is, you know, for me, I work with nature. I work, you know, in communion with all of life. So it's really about bringing us back into harmony and balance at that energetic level, at the spiritual level, so that it can have more really of an impact on how we feel emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And I know that myself through my own work, because I know that whenever I'm out of alignment, my whole life can go out of alignment, you know? So yeah, so there's, you know, so there's the two, there's the people who deeply trust in this work. They know that this is, you know, this can bring them the medicine that they are seeking. And I suppose, you know, I would call myself a medicine woman, you know, of the heart. And that is what people are seeking. They're seeking the medicine that they've not been able to find elsewhere. However, that is not to say that, of course, what we do cannot be done alongside other therapies, other treatments. Absolutely. You know, I totally encourage that. But I suppose whenever I speak to people, and they come into my space, they're looking to heal their issues. They're no longer looking to put that Band-Aid on it, where they're just sort of patching over the cure, or just taking the, you know, the actual pills medicine that is sort of keeping them going. They know that deep down, how they feel, their connection to all of life, to nature, their beliefs, in terms of like how limiting they are or how empowering they are, excuse me, all of that they know is impacting, and they are doing what they can to help themselves. And I suppose what I love is that I really want to encourage people to be their own healer, which they are. So when somebody walks into my room, certainly where I see, I suppose, the deepest connection to their healing is when they know that. And they know that they're not coming in for a quick treatment or meditation or workshop, and they'll just walk out the door again. Obviously, there's a certain element of that they will feel better. But I think people are starting to realize, maybe not even on a logical minded sense, that how they live, their beliefs, how they, you know, do certain practices, how that all affects them. So yeah, it's just all about the healing work. That's kind of like what is coming in. People are deeply understanding more and more that how they live is affecting their lives, and they want to do what they can to come more back into harmony and balance. And that's what I love to do. That's what I love to sort of facilitate for them and to help them along the journey with.
And I totally agree, because I feel like for me, the role of a medium and a sacred heart healer for me has definitely changed. It's deeper work now. People are wanting to do their own individual work, where before I think they just wanted to know, is he the one? Am I going to marry him? You know, it was all that instant answers. And I think we're ready. I think humanity, I think Mother Earth is really, really activating us now to actually go within and do our work. I think there's this real activation that if we don't move, you know, we're not going to live in harmony on her or in balance. Would you agree?
Completely. And I suppose what the biggest thing for me there was probably part of my own awakening, which was I was out of alignment with Mother Earth, with that sacred feminine energy, and how that could help me and what was innate in me. And more people are realizing that there is this feminine essence. There's this intuitive flow that can be soft and gentle, yet very, very, very powerful, wisdom that actually has been taken out of how we were ever told to look after ourselves. Yesterday, I heard an expression about something that was a man-made labyrinth. And I thought, how funny is that a labyrinth that is so deeply feminine is being called man-made, but yet I was like, isn't that even incredible that, that word labyrinth is getting, maybe not in the best of ways, in how it was, in the context of what it was being said. But yet I just thought, there we go. Everything was made to be man-made. And excuse me, this is my early morning throat. Yeah, people definitely, I suppose when it comes to where I live personally, Lily, I live in Northern Ireland, and it's a very patriarchal society, as we are all living in the world. I get that. But everything that our structures, our organizations, our churches, everything is man-made. Everything is in control by men. And there isn't sort of like an underlying limiting belief, therefore, that we are second-class citizens because we are women and because it is the man, it is the father. And, I'm just like, that is really important. We need that. But also, where's the feminine? Where's the mother? Where's the mother energy? So I believe that anybody that comes into this room are really curious about wanting to know more about that, because whilst they might not understand what it is they're being called to walk into when it comes to working with Mother Earth and nature and, the different ways, they're trusting in their soul. That's what I'm loving. Like whenever I speak to people more, it is that sort of more sense of, I just know. And that is, to me, what, one of the deepest trusts that we can have in working with Mother Earth is all about. And certainly in all of this work, I say to people all the time, with how we work, we need to trust in it. We need to trust. And I think she can hold us. And in particular as well, that a lot of people as well that I would work with, there's this sense of a lot of people just feel very ungrounded. There's so much fear. There's been so much upheaval in this world forever.
Yeah.
But for the past 2 years in particular, like it just seemed to go from one extreme to another. So whenever I say to people, you need to get grounded. We need to get grounded. Some of them are like, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? And when I bring them through a practice of whatever it may be, even a healing, a meditation, through a workshop, and they feel that holding, they feel that groundedness, they can see the difference physically in how they're feeling. And I suppose at a level when we're learning, we want to feel it physically. So they get it then. They get when I talk about the Mother Earth and how she holds us and how she can help us to feel more grounded. Because there's so much anxiety out there at the moment, at a whole different level now because of the pandemic as well. Because a lot of people are living in that fear of, will I get it? Will something bad happen to me? And understandably, there's for some people, but there's a lot of unfounded fear there as well. And when we're living in that stress and we're not grounded and feeling in our body, which is which is that connection to Mother Earth, we're not making we're not tuning into that other side of our brain, which is the rational brain, you know, trying to make logical sense. So if there was, you know, we know that the feminine has risen. She's been rising for a long time. There's been lots of people have awakened, and what has come out of this, not for everybody, but there is still more people understanding that now. And if I were to say to anybody, if you want to understand Mother Earth from where to start, get grounded, be with her, sit with her, feel held with her, and you will notice how you feel differently. Mm-hmm. And then that in itself, to me, will just awaken a whole other, it's like a remembering of what we know inside of us, but what is being hidden from us, or what we've been told is not the way that we should be doing things.
Yeah, totally agree. We're being called back to simplify, to become simplified with our lives. And it's a recalling back to what our nature is, of what our soul needs. And I do believe that we've forgotten to listen to the whispers of our soul. Mm-hmm. And that comes back to your knowing. That comes back, you know, to your heart space, to your center. We've been used to this mm-hmm. chatter, distraction for the last 2 years that's actually stopped us actually doing our work. Would you agree?
Completely. Because we've just been told fear. Though when I say that, at the same time, I find it so wonderful that so many people sort of were like, hold on here. I'm not going to live in that space. I'm not going to live in that fear. And that came at different points along the way. But regardless of where you were in the last 2 years, in terms of like where your thoughts were, where your fears were, of course, we were all affected collectively by the collective fear. And then the news, the addiction to news, and I would say the addiction to social media and the swiping has just, I mean, my heart just nearly explodes when I talk about it, because at times I got frustrated with myself, annoyed at myself. And then people would come in and tell me, they're stressed, and then they tell me their patterns. I mean, you know, they don't even need to tell me sometimes. I'm just like, and we've just become addicted to almost like feeding ourselves with the fear. And then we're like, well, where are we creating those moments, like you've just said, where we can hear the whispers of our soul? You know, whilst I know that for me, being grounded and sitting in silence and stillness and meditation and doing my practices and rituals, absolutely, they get me into a centered place where I hear that. I also know that it can be in the movement. It can be in it's not just about being still, just to hear that. However, saying that, regardless of what way we hear the whispers of our soul, we have to be able to create a space for that to come in. And if we are constantly distracting ourselves and constantly in fear, then the information that we're receiving, we're never trusting. People do come into me and they want to know, what's my soul purpose? I don't know. And then they'll say things to me like, I've got this feeling about this, and I maybe think this, and, you know, and part of me is like, well, we are not going to get the answer to what our end game is straight away. But along the way, we have to trust in those whispers. We need to listen to them, and they need to be integrated in, you know, and I say this because I know I've been through it. I've spoken to other people, and this is what I hear. And the integration can't happen if we pick up our phone and swipe through Instagram in between. Or, you know, we go to bed with our phone, like even checking Pinterest, you know, whatever it is. So it's not just all about social media, and I understand that it's not just all about news, but at a time perhaps where we could have taken more space to hear for ourselves, our whispers. Like some people did. I know that some people did. Some of others along the way have been distracted, and because the fear has been very powerful. The fear and the, you know, and the whatever, you know, everybody has their own views, but the propaganda, the narrative that is put out there that we, you know, that we're all told to believe, you know, I mean, for some people, they don't know that there's other alternatives, you know, or it's okay to, really as well, like it's okay to step out of that space. I mean, even if we break it down to the busyness pandemic of how important it is to look busy in life and to look like you're succeeding and doing well in life, you know, that in itself is a, you know, to me, there's a series going on there. You know, some people, you know, who are experiencing this busyness, disease, disharmony, are not realizing it's okay to sit back. You know, it's okay to do these things that can help us listen to what we need the most, you know. And actually, yeah, some of these, you know, some people might be very, very successful in lots of things at what they do, but ultimately they also need to come back and to be grounded. So there's, you know, there's lots of different and then there's the fine line, because obviously we can go to we want to have that harmony. You know, I talk to people about the balance of life. You know, we can't always say that everything's going to be perfect. There's not, you know, that sort of scales to me sometimes has to, you know, ebb and flow with life, with our cycles, with the seasons, you know, with what's going on. You know, sometimes we've got to work harder. And sometimes, you know, if we want to rest, you know, and to me also, that's why, you know, personally, I work very much with my moon cycle, with the cycle of the moon. And I encourage women when they come in particular, that if they're feeling very out of balance and that need to go all the time, I'm trying to explain, but we're not meant to. Even within a monthly cycle, there's times where it's okay to, you know, to rest our bodies. And there's other times why, you know, it would be okay to do something like this. I wouldn't have had a chat with you, say, a week ago, because I would have been in my, like, my new moon stage, you know, so I would have been like completely not able to even sentence a word, and I mightn't even have wanted to. So it's about, you know, bringing people, you know, that's what I love about this work. And women are listening. They're like, oh, that makes sense. And there's so many people that are already out there doing it. But there's a calling for more and more and more people to understand that. But because we have this man-made society that we're living in, it's almost like, well, no, you only rest. Yeah, like we only rest when we go on holidays for a week or two, once a year, you know? So, but no, that's not the way that it is. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me personally, COVID, you know, 2 years ago I saw it as a soft opening. And I saw it as a really deep opportunity to co-create my life more aligned with my soul. So I made very quickly some quite radical decisions that spirit really guided me to do. Was it easy? Shit, no. I was in complete and utter fear, like second guessing. But every time I reconnected, I knew it was about me taking brave action and stepping forward. I knew it was about really me learning to trust my innate knowing and really learning to trust, you know, what I needed, not what others needed around me, but what I needed for my soul food, for my soul self, for me to be more expanded, for me to become more clearer, for me to be able to nurture myself, give myself permission. And, you know, really for me to nurture myself, to be a better mother, to show up differently at home too, with the people that I care about, not an exhausted woman that was in, you know, the busyness of needing to, you know, dare I say it, help fix others that weren't people that weren't really ready to actually do their own individual work.
Oh, you know what? When you say that, that gives me heart flutters because, like, really, I just am like, oh my God, I just want to hug you. Virtual hug.
Yeah.
Because to me, if you don't mind me saying, it's like you really stepped into your sovereignty, you know, and to a degree, whilst it didn't click with me straight away at the beginning of 2 years ago, but it certainly did about 18 months ago. And if I have anything to be thankful for, it is that anything that I still was holding, maybe feelings of unworthiness or pussyfooting around, or I just was like, no, this is my opportunity now. And I'll be honest with you, the beginning of, say, what was our lockdown, it probably did allow me to heal a little bit of social anxiety that was in myself. Ironically, the going into the cave further meant that as I stepped out of it, I was like, no, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I was like, you know, so it helped me to actually, like yourself, go, well, how do I want to live? And how, you know, I know that for me and for people that I speak to, and I believe it's what you've just said as well, it's that it's our soul, it's our core soul values. It's like, are we living by them? And because I know in the past, and even now, if I am not living in harmony with them, or I'm working with people that are not, you know, on that same wavelength, then it's not, my life is not in alignment. However, saying that, what I've loved about the past, maybe loved is not the right word, what I've been able to really gather for myself, it's like been insight for the last 2 years, is understanding that although I know what my core soul values are, and to weave my life in with that, it is important to always be looking at different opinions and, you know, listening to be able for me to really discern what my truth is.
Yeah.
So even though I may not agree with what somebody says, I will listen to them, but whereas before perhaps I would have been a bit like, oh no, I don't agree with them, so I'm not going to listen to them. You know, whereas now to be able, it's a bit like yourself, Ellie, for me to live how I believe is my truth. I know that I will listen to a variety of opinions and will try, you know, I mean, there's some that I just, you know, wouldn't go there. There's some far-fetched ones. But, you know, I don't just listen to mainstream information anymore, because I now know that does not sit with me. Okay. So it's a bit like yourself. I've been able to fall into what I feel is my more sovereign, like into my sovereignty more. And that would be my hope for other people. But like that, we cannot fix them. And just because I have a belief or an opinion doesn't mean that everybody else around me, certainly, can I tell you, a lot of people that I would still be friends with don't hold my opinions and beliefs. So, you know, and that's okay. That's okay. But at the same time, I still have to have people around me that do. Because I know I'm not alone. And that would be, you know, in terms of physical beings as well as sentient, celestial, angelic beings, guides, whoever it is. I understand that that's the world that I'm living in, but I must have, like my soul family around me.
Makes complete sense, sister. Because you know what? Right now, it is hard work being in your human body. It would be easier to be, more connected out there than actually physically in here. And, that's the challenge. That's really right now, like that's the challenge because, we as human beings are getting feelings where we've been squashing down our feelings, suppressing ourselves because we've been under, patriarchy and been told to suppress everything. And, now all of a sudden we're really in a crisis and we've got feelings coming everywhere. We can feel other people's energy now. You can feel it. Just for me, I could feel it beforehand, but like standing at the supermarket, it's screaming through the TV at you. It is standing at the school gates, and you have to process that it's really, and that's what gets us ungrounded. That's what gets us wobbly in our own self, going, holy shit, what am I doing? And, that's why it's so important for us to discern other people's energy, but also really deeply ground.
I personally use the supermarket, all the time when I'm talking to people, because, I say that one of the most important things that I do for myself is protect myself every morning, spiritually, energetically, because I am like that sponge. I am just like, anybody that has an anger issue or an attitude, Ciara's like this radar, come to me. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's probably, I'm able to deal with it a bit better now, but the reason why is because I will not leave my house until I am protected. Like every morning I have a practice of protection. And every time I leave the house, I call in extra protection, get in the car. Because sure as hell, I will be in that queue just buying my pint of milk or whatever it is. And that angry, I'm going to say it, it's usually an angry workman who thinks he can do what he wants, is there. And, or even shuffling on top of you or whatever. Yeah. And I mean, that's just funny that you said that, because I say that to people all the time. I'm like, I've had to come home, and even though I'm protected, I know I cleanse my energy, because I'm like, I am not taking that person another second around with me. Do you know what I mean? I'm a bit easy, to be honest. It's been a work in progress. I can sort of wash it off quicker, or just not let it enter my field than what I did. But sometimes it's still, there's still places that I go to that things will happen to me that makes me go, I should not be here. Or I am not meant to be here, rather than not should. It's just, it's kind of like, you need to learn your lesson, Ciara. This place is not somewhere that the energy, it would need cleansed, it would need a lot, and there's certain places, and then when I come home, I'll feel differently. So yeah, completely ungrounded. So that still does happen to me. But like you say, because I'm aware of it now. I'm aware of it now. And that awareness has changed my life. Because before, like that, I was able to read energies of people. But sometimes I thought, oh, that's my mind playing tricks, or I'm being paranoid. It's my lack of confidence or worthiness. All of these things that now, where I feel more empowered and more confident, always work to be done, of course, where I can tell, no, that's the energies, exactly what you've just said, that if there was one thing that if anybody ever did the work that we do, it would be to learn how to protect your energy. Because I'll be honest, most of the healings that I do is because another person's energy has gotten into somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be there for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
years, lives. We know that, that's what happens. So, and that's the thing, we don't understand how people are feeding off us, and we are allowing them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my, whenever I realized I had given away my power, and once that awareness came into me, I was like, okay, I know exactly why I'm doing this work and why I will always protect my energy. So it's not because and it's important, and what I said to people is, it's not that I'm walking around in fear. It's not that we're walking around in fear, but I just want, like you said, to be grounded, to feel empowered, and to feel healthier.
Yeah.
So but it's why every day I will protect myself.
And I suppose, that is so important, because for so long people didn't take responsibility for their work. I'll go see a healer, or I'll go see a counselor, or I'll go see a medium, or I'll go see the doctor, and they'll fix me. That was the way that we were programmed. But now no one fixes anybody. It's about you actually healing yourself and taking responsibility, and almost like pulling out your toolkit to, okay, I've got, Lily in here, Cara in here. They'll activate something in me. They'll help me move through a wound, or the piece that I still can't get, that I can, energetically move on, or the bit where I've done so much work around, but there's one last piece that I can't poke. So I think that our roles since COVID have really changed as the collective energy has changed. Would you agree?
That's certainly how I work with people. And I definitely know that that's the type of people person I attract. I know in the past, there has been other people, and I'm not saying that people don't come to me, that they just literally want to lie down on the plinth and experience a nice healing. Yes, like there is still that to a degree, but when they come back into the room, if they're coming for a series of treatments, for example, and if they know that they've stepped back into their old ways and done nothing any differently, then they're not, that's where they're looking me to fix them, or the energies to fix them, not so much me. Do you know what I mean? But they're looking to fix her rather than to work with themselves as their own healer. So yeah, no, it's an interesting one, because in my experience, for most of the work that I do and how I've felt, and for people that I speak to, when they experience a healing therapy, whatever it may be, they do find that encouragement to make, even if it's a subtle, slight change, and that's okay. That those are the changes that we want, consistent, subtle, as long as they're doing something to help themselves, that's their soul knowing, okay, you're ready to receive this healing. We can work together, and that's, what I love to see. And that's who I love to work with. And I find that, anybody else generally that would come, it hasn't happened to me recently, but maybe before, maybe they don't come back because they thought they were going to be fixed. Just, it's interesting that has just come up, even in Ireland, there's a thing, I don't know if you know this, but there's a thing in Ireland called the cure. Okay. And the cure is handed down in generations of families. So it's very, it's, I wouldn't say, I don't know how ancient it is, but like, for instance, my daddy had the cure for what was for ringworm and rashes. So, and his father had that, and it was handed down through the men. Some women had some as well. But this is the thing, people would come to Daddy. He never protected himself. And he would do what he did. He did it on me once, so I know what he did, but we keep it very sacred. But that was that whole thing about being fixed. And there was no generally speaking, there was no energy exchange. The people would just come to the door, knock the door. Are you the guy with the cure? Yeah. Did the thing, all done very quickly, move on. And there is still a bit of an attitude here in this country where the cure existed, where people were like, well, we'll go and they'll fix us. And it's even like, we'll go to the doctor and the doctor will fix us. So that's, again, it's about that falling back into, it's about self-empowerment. It's really about, what did I do, to be honest? I would, what have I done in any way to also create the position that I'm in right now? We're co-creating energy. So how can I co-create to heal, to heal myself? And, that's how I have it. That's how I've benefited. And that's how I see other people benefiting when they really embrace that sense of it's a co-creation. And, the thing is, though, some of the work that I do would be more, there's different guidances in the different treatments. So it depends where somebody is at in their journey, as you know.
And it's interesting that you say about co-creation, because that is something that I have written on pretty much every Facebook post, Instagram post in the last 4 months. As our society goes into this discrimination, participation, splitting of consciousness, splitting of society, splitting of families. I have always said, what are we co-creating? Because for me, segregation and the splitting of society, we are co-creating more. The benefits won't outweigh what we've actually co-created, i.e. mental health, not including people, the harm. And we're really starting to see that now in this country like we've never seen it before. And for me, I always say, by participating in it, you're part of the problem. And people haven't really liked that message, because I'm like, how are we going to heal this for all of us to just come back to being unified so we can actually heal humanity as a whole? Yeah. Because that's what we're here to do. That's the ultimate end goal. And I'm like, we're actually missing the whole point.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people's inner trauma is really, and their feelings is really like out in the forefront now. There's no hiding that stuff. It's sitting right here, and you can feel it and see it just in every conversation and you can just feel it. Driving past people's cars, you can feel it.
Yeah. I mean, I concur with you, Lily. It's completely, what has been created. I mean, I'm trying to, it's like, I suppose I've witnessed it in my own country before, where there was a big separation, and it can be upsetting. It can be upsetting, but at the same time, I love your passion. I love your compassion. Your compassion for the whole of humanity, because any separation will lead to more fear, to more wars. It's not really getting us to where we want to be. which is that unity, the unity consciousness that we are all hoping and, you know, working towards. To be honest, our country, although there has been a lot of separation and a lot of what you said, I do know that where you're living in terms of your country has been affected more deeply because of your harsh lockdowns and the fear that has been, you know. So this is the thing as well about where we're all living in the world, where it certainly didn't go according to how I would have planned it here. We were not, thankfully, as badly locked down as some people like yourself, or even in a country that I live in. I live in Ireland, Lily, where there's about 6,500 people in the whole island. And now my little bit that is the UK, we were under completely different rules than the rest of Ireland. And within that, there was separation. I could see it in the conversations that I was having with my friends and the fear of what somebody who lived an hour and a half down the road from me was feeling compared to myself. You know, so it's just like it's like they're trying to program us all the time. Separate, 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 separate. And don't like that person because they have a different opinion from you. Or, you know, this is what I mean. It's kind of like, where is that all going to lead to? You know, that's what I mean. Like, I am experiencing in my own life friends and family who have what has been called COVID anxiety, which is only another layer onto perhaps the anxiety that they ever had before. And there's this just massive, and it's, you know, and it, you know, I mean, to me, like, it seems crazy. Why would they want to have done that to us as a society? You know, we surely a society where we're more grounded, happier, freer, where we feel more empowered and in unity with one another is going to lead to a better world. But then we're not, you know, we're not running the world.
You know, we're not. That's the problem, sister. That's why we've got these problems.
But if anything, if we're talking about it, if something that if I, you know, was like, I think the lockdowns are harsh, I don't agree with them, there's lots of things I didn't agree with. If I'm having that conversation with somebody who only ever had the opposing opinion to me and I shock them, I don't want to shock anybody, but I guess that's what I suppose is like, I listen to you, now you listen to me. So if there's anything that has come out of this, it's maybe this where people only were living in the bubble. And if somebody like me or you then comes in and said, well, I don't want to live in this bubble, you know, and they sort of go, oh, hold on. There's another side to the story here. There's another opinion. Then if we are able in some way to bring that to the table, then I think that's brilliant.
Totally. Because
maybe, you know, and yet we, you know, the hardest part about this can be the non-judgment. How do we not judge each other? That is the heart. And I think that is one of the things that is, it's the judginess of what has happened, of what maybe some people's choices have been. That's been difficult for us all, I think. I can't speak for everybody. I'd say it's been difficult for me, and I know it's been difficult for others. But again, it's like, it's all leading to separation, and you're just like, why would we want to choose that? That is not, you know, what we believe in.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, words of wisdom. What would you like to leave the listeners with of a word of wisdom from Ciara?
I'm going to say what has come straight is it's fall into your heart. It's take a breath. Just allow yourself to relax. Take another breath. And just listen to the whispers of your soul.
Oh, I love that, sister. Absolutely love that. So for those listening to this podcast radio show that is in New Zealand or in the other side of the world, Europe, how can they connect with you or learn more about what your offerings to the world are, sister?
So my website is my name, so ciaramchugh.com, and I'm also on Instagram, and my name is I am Ciara McHugh Healer. So they're perhaps the best two ways to see the work that I do and my sharings. And all of my offerings, my services are listed on my website as well. So I may be here in Ireland, but I connect with people all over the world. So it's amazing. If the one thing that I probably did shy away from in the last few years, it was doing this sort of online work. Like yourself, I was like, I need to do it now. And I actually love it. I have to say I love it. And it works as well.
And I love this too. I love online too. I find it way more better for my own energy field. Well, thank you, gorgeous. Thanks for coming and sharing your wisdom. And, thank you for sharing your wisdom with the world. And, especially with humanity right now, because they need people like you, honey.
Thank you so much. And it's lovely to share with somebody who I know has the same values as me. And it's been great to talk to you again. It's been way too long.
Oh, my God, totally.